These are 6 black actors who made billions for Hollywood studios while being systematically locked into the same types of roles, until they figured out how to game the system. Idris Elba, Michael B. Jordan, Mahershala Ali, Viola Davis, John Boyega, and Chadwick Boseman collectively appeared in films that grossed over $15 billion worldwide, but every single one of them had to engineer their own escape routes from an industry designed to keep them in a box. What we're looking at isn't individual racism. This is about business mechanics, about how Hollywood's economic structure creates and perpetuates typecasting as a profit, protection strategy, and about the specific tactics these actors use to break free. The imagination gap. January 2016, when Idris Elba addressed the UK Parliament about diversity in British television, gave us the clearest explanation of how this system actually worked. Back in the 90s, when Elba was coming up as an actor, auditions worked a specific way. His words to Parliament were exact. We were always asked to read the black male character, or the athletic type. And that was just Crime Watch.
So we were always asked to read the black male character, or the athletic type, and that was just Crime Watch.
But when a script called for a black male, it wasn't describing a character. It was describing a skin color.
Oh, it wasn't describing a character or a person's character, it was describing a skin color.
A white man or a Caucasian was described as a man with a twinkle in his eye. White characters got personality descriptors, while black characters got skin color, and that's not just prejudice, that's a fundamental failure of imagination baked into the script-writing process itself.
Now, a white character, a white male, was always called a Caucasian, or a man with a twinkle in his eyes. Now, my eyes may be dark, but they definitely twinkle.
Elba appears in films that grossed nearly $10 billion, putting him in the top 20 highest-grossing actors of all time. But when he told Parliament about his early career, the confession was blunt. I knew I wasn't going to land a lead role. I knew there wasn't enough imagination in the industry for me to be seen as a lead. Leaving the UK entirely became his solution, not because work wasn't available, but because all the work was identical. I went to America because I was running out of parts. They were all the same sort of parts.
In other words, I didn't go to America because I couldn't get parts. I went to America because I was running out of parts. All the parts were the same.
America offered him Stringer Bell in The Wire, a drug kingpin role that launched his career and established a pattern that would follow him for years. The calculating criminal, the simmering gangster, the dangerous man. Variations of this character appeared in American Gangster, Rock and Rolla, and The Suicide Squad, because the industry couldn't imagine him as anything else. That changed when specific directors intervened. Guillermo del Toro cast him in Pacific Rim as a military commander. Kenneth Branagh made him a Norse god in Thor. And these weren't roles written for black actors. They were roles written for actors, period. The strategy. Only audition for white roles. June 2018, during Variety's Actors on Actors conversation with Issa Rae, Michael B. Jordan revealed the strategy that changed his career trajectory. Right around the time Fruitvale Station went down, I told my agents I didn't want to go out for any roles written for African Americans. I didn't want it. I wanted only white men. That's it. That's all I want to do.
Like I told my agents, I was like, I don't want to go out for any role that's written for African Americans. In the breakdown, I said, I don't want it. I want to go for any white males. That's it. That's all I want to do.
Jordan explicitly refused to compete in the system as designed, and his reasoning exposed the economic trap. Every young black actor from ages 17 to 40 going out for the same role, how do you reverse engineer that problem of pitted competition with each other and give more opportunities to eat and be successful?
Every young black actor from the ages of 17 to 40 going out for it, It was just like, how do you reverse engineer that problem, that kind of pitted competition between each other, and just put more opportunities out there for people to eat and be successful?
The math is simple. 5 roles for black actors and 50 qualified performers means you're competing with 49 other people for limited opportunities, but if you can position yourself for the hundreds of roles not racially specified, you've expanded your market. Jordan called this the Trojan horse strategy, where you take roles with platform and budget that weren't written specifically for you and inject your experience into the character. Creed, the Human Torch in Fantastic Four, and eventually Killmonger in Black Panther, all approached this way. The strategy worked in measurable terms. Creed made $173 million on a $35 to $40 million budget. Black Panther made $1.34 billion, and Creed 3, which Jordan directed himself, became the biggest opening for a sports film ever with a $58 million debut. But when Jordan landed the Human Torch role in the 2015 Fantastic Four, racist backlash arrived immediately, with fans claiming it ruined the source material. Jordan's response stayed measured. I can see everybody's perspective, and I know I can't ask the audience to forget 50 years of comic books. But the world is a little more diverse in 2015 than when the Fantastic Four comic first came out in 1961. Stan Lee himself sent an email to the director approving the casting, which Jordan referenced by saying, "Who am I to go against that?" The colorism layer. Cannes in May 2022, when Viola Davis spoke publicly about something many people don't want to acknowledge. "Let's be honest, if I had my same features and I were 5 shades lighter, it would just be a little bit different. And if I had blonde hair, blue eyes, and even a wide nose, it would be even a little bit different than what it is now."
Let's be honest, if I had my same features and I were 5 shades lighter, it would just be a little bit different. And if I had blonde hair, blue eyes, and even a wide nose, it would be even a little bit different than what it is now.
Colorism, the hierarchy within Hollywood where even among black actresses, lighter skin gets more opportunities, shapes what stories Davis can tell. She laid out the specific limitation. "If I wanted to play a mother whose family lives in a low-income neighborhood and my son was a gang member who died in a drive-by shooting, I could get that made. If I played a woman who was looking to recreate herself by flying to Nice and sleeping with 5 men at the age of 56, looking like me, I'm going to have a hard time pushing that one."
Like, if I wanted to play a mother who he was a gang member who died in drive-by shooting, I could get that made. If I played a woman who was flying to Nice and sleeping with 5 men at the age of 56, looking like me, I'm gonna have a hard time pushing that one.
Hollywood will fund black trauma stories, starring dark-skinned actresses, but black joy, black sexuality, black adventure, that requires lighter skin or white proximity. $518 was what Davis earned for her first Screen Actors Guild role, playing a nurse in The Substance of Fire. 12 years of supporting roles and character parts followed, including a recurring role in the 2000 show City of Angels where she played, once again, a nurse. 43 years old when Doubt arrived in 2008, Davis got an Oscar nomination for 8 minutes of screen time. When she won the Emmy in 2015, her acceptance speech cut to the core issue. "The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity."
The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity.
You cannot win an Emmy for roles that are simply not there. What Davis revealed about a director she'd worked with for 10 years tells you everything about how normalized this treatment becomes. The director called her Louise on set because that was his maid's name, the bait and switch. September 2020, when John Boyega told GQ UK exactly what happened with Star Wars, the accusation was specific. What I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up. The Force Awakens made $2.07 billion. The Last Jedi made $1.33 billion. And The Rise of Skywalker made $1.074 billion, totaling over $4 billion across 3 films. Boyega's face was literally the first revealed in The Force Awakens teaser trailer, a black stormtrooper, then a lightsaber-wielding hero, and the film positioned Finn as a central protagonist with a complex arc. The Last Jedi sidelined him to a subplot, and by Rise of Skywalker, he'd been relegated to deep supporting status with his Force sensitivity teased throughout but never developed. Boyega's words to GQ didn't mince. "You guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley. You knew what to do with Adam Driver. You knew what to do with these other people. But when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, when it came to John Boyega, you know fuck all." Racist response came exclusively to certain cast members, and Boyega laid out the difference. Nobody else in the cast had people saying they were going to boycott the movie because they were in it. Nobody else had the uproar and death threats sent to their Instagram DMs. March 2025, in the documentary #1 on the call sheet, Boyega's reflection captured the franchise dynamic. Star Wars always had the vibe of being in the most whitest, elite space. It's a franchise that's so white that a black person existing in it was something.
It's had the vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. Like, this franchise is so white that it's like a black person existing in that was something. And you can always tell it's something when some Star Wars fans try to say, well, we had Lando.
The Biopic box. Jackie Robinson in 42 in 2013, which made $97 million, immediately positioned Chadwick Boseman for James Brown in Get On Up in 2014, then Thurgood Marshall in 2017. 3 consecutive biopics of pioneering black historical figures, which meant Boseman was being typecast as black history itself. After 42, Boseman's concern was explicit. "I wasn't looking to do it again for another 15, 20 years, but directors kept seeking him as their only choice for black historical figures." The economic logic works like this. Biopics of black historical figures are considered safe investments because they have built-in educational and cultural significance. They get made with modest budgets like 42 at $40 million and Get On Up at $30 million, and they're positioned as important rather than entertaining. Actors pay the cost by becoming the go-to person for Black History Month content instead of action franchises, romantic leads, or comedy roles. Black Panther became Boseman's escape. Not a biopic, not a real person, but a fictional superhero in a fictional African nation who could be anything Boseman and director Ryan Coogler imagined. $200 million went into production, 6 times the budget of 42, and the return was $1.347 billion. The first superhero film nominated for Best Picture arrived. The Wakanda Forever salute became a global symbol, and Time named Boseman to its 100 most influential people in 2018. What makes Boseman's story devastating is what nobody knew. He filmed Marshall, Black Panther, both Avengers films, 21 Bridges, Duh 5 Bloods, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom while battling colon cancer. Stage 3 cancer diagnosed in 2016, never publicly disclosed, with none of his collaborators knowing he was undergoing chemotherapy and surgeries between shoots. August 28, 2020, at age 43, when Boseman died, the death announcement became the most liked tweet in Twitter history. The Dignified supporting player, 16 years of supporting and background roles, came before Mahershala Ali's breakthrough in Moonlight in 2016. Representing yet another pattern, the dignified supporting player who brings gravitas to limited screen time. Even in Moonlight, which won Best Picture, Ali only appears in the first act, but he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor with that limited screen time, and became the first Muslim actor to win an Academy Award. 2 years later, Green Book brought him a second Oscar, making him the second black actor after Denzel Washington to win multiple acting Oscars, and the only black actor to win twice in the same category. A specific problem emerged that Ali identified in a 2018 Variety interview. There's only so much bandwidth in an interview, only so much space. 40% of my interview is usually around things of diversity or color. You get to the questions about the work or the process so far down the line that you almost don't get to exhaust it.
So there's only so much bandwidth in an interview, only so much space. Diversity. 40% of my interview is usually around or color. You kind of get to the questions about the work or the process like so far down the line that you almost don't get to exhaust it.
40% of his professional conversations focused on race rather than craft, even as a 2-time Oscar winner. Ali's strategy mirrored Jordan's approach, pursuing roles not written for black actors. True Detective Season 3 initially offered him a supporting role with the main character written as white, but Ali pushed back and sent creator Nick Pizzolatto photos of his own grandfather in police uniform. The role got rewritten for him, and the series premiered in 2019 to an 84% Rotten Tomatoes score. Marvel's Blade reboot in 2019 saw Ali approach Marvel himself rather than waiting for an offer, which reverses the traditional casting process entirely. Late 2025 finds the film still in development after losing multiple directors and writers, but Ali remains attached. The business mechanics. The agent system creates the first structural problem. According to the New York Times, of the hundreds of film and television representatives working at the 4 powerhouse agencies, just a few dozen are black, and Charles King was the first black man to make partner at William Morris Endeavor before founding Macro to specifically address this gap. When black agents are rare, the people packaging roles, pitching actors, and negotiating deals don't have personal stakes in disrupting the typecasting system. An anonymous agent told reporters in 2015 they were finally relieved to pitch any actor who may seem right for the role, rather than having to ask casting directors ahead of time if they would possibly consider an ethnic actor. Agents had to get pre-approval before even suggesting a black actor for roles. The international markets argument dominated studio thinking for decades, with executives claiming that films with black casts don't perform well overseas, which justified lower budgets and limited releases. Data contradicts this entirely. Black Panther opened with $160 million internationally before it even released in China, Japan, or Russia. The Fast and Furious franchise with its diverse cast became one of the most bankable film series in history, and Get Out cost $4.5 million but made $255 million worldwide. Dave Hollis, president of distribution at Disney in 2018, put it plainly, "When we have leaned into and had inclusion and representation as part of the mix, it's just really worked." He added, "If you want to succeed on the global stage, certainly in the tentpole business, you have to have diversity in storytelling." Budget inequality creates the third structural barrier. Digital Content Next found that BIPOC leads are more likely to have the smallest and largest budgets with nothing in between. You either get a $3 to $20 million black film, or you get a Black Panther-level exception at $200 million, with white-led films getting consistent budget distribution across the entire spectrum from indie to tentpole. The data. USC Annenberg's Inclusion Initiative found that in 2023, speaking characters in top films broke down as 55.7% white and 12.6% black, with underrepresented leads appearing in 37% of top 100 films. But UCLA's Hollywood Diversity Report for 2025 showed something troubling. In 2024, actors of color held 25.2% of lead roles, down from 29.2% in 2023, while directors of color dropped from 22.9% to 20.2%. The gains are reversing, Diverse films making money isn't the issue. UCLA's research found that films with 41 to 50% people of color in the cast earned the highest median sales at $234 million domestic. The CAA study from 2016 showed that 47% of opening weekend audiences for top 10 grossing films were people of color, and African Americans represent 12% of the U.S. population, but 15% of frequent moviegoers, according to MPAA data. The audience is there, the spending power exists, and McKinsey research found that Hollywood loses $10 billion annually by undervaluing black creators. Breaking free, the production company solution. Every single actor we've discussed created their own production company, and this isn't coincidental. It's the structural solution to a structural problem. Outlier Society, founded by Michael B. Jordan in 2016, signed an exclusive overall TV agreement and first-look film deal with Amazon in February 2021, described as a 360-degree creative relationship. Outlier Society became the first company to adopt the inclusion rider for all productions and has produced Just Mercy, A Journal for Jordan, Creed 3, and the Netflix series Raising Dion. Green Door Pictures, founded by Idris Elba in 2013 with a mission to champion diversity of thought, has produced In the Long Run for Sky, Turn Up Charlie for Netflix, Concrete Cowboy for Netflix, the Apple TV series Hijack, and Luther the Fallen Son for Netflix in 2023. Viola Davis's Juvie Productions, run with her husband Julius Tenen, holds a first-look deal with Entertainment One as of 2023 and previously had deals with Amazon Studios. Juvie produced The Woman King in 2022, an action film that cost $50 million and made $94 million worldwide with Davis as the lead at age 57. John Boyega founded Upper Room Entertainment in January 2016, with his first production being Pacific Rim, Uprising, and in March 2020. Upper Room signed a multi-year deal with Netflix for non-English language films focused on African stories. These aren't vanity projects. They're business entities designed to create the opportunities the industry won't provide. The DEI rollback. 2014, when Dr. Stacy L. Smith at USC Annenberg created the Inclusion Rider, a contract stipulation requiring diversity in cast and crew, and Frances McDormand brought it to mainstream attention in her 2018 Oscar speech with 2 words: Inclusion Rider.
I have 2 words to leave with you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Inclusion Rider.
The Academy implemented diversity requirements for Best Picture eligibility starting in 2024, requiring films to meet 2 of 4 diversity standards covering on-screen representation, creative leadership, industry access, and audience development. Studios responded with DEI initiatives. Then in 2024 and 2025, they started rolling them back. Disney scrubbed references to its Reimagine Tomorrow initiative. Amazon Studios quietly rolled back division-wide diversity policies. Paramount eliminated staffing goals tied to race, ethnicity, and gender, and Warner Bros. Adjusted DEI programs. UCLA data shows the impact. POC lead roles dropped from 29.2% to 25.2% in 1 year, and films with less than 11% POC cast more than doubled. Studios are retreating from diversity commitments under political pressure and the claim that merit-based hiring should replace targeted inclusion efforts, according to the Wrap in December 2024. But when decision-makers can't imagine black actors in diverse roles, when scripts describe white characters by personality and black characters by skin color, when agents have to get pre-approval to suggest black actors, when the industry loses $10 billion annually by undervaluing black creators, merit becomes a system that perpetuates the status quo. With billions in box office revenue, multiple Oscars, Golden Globes, Emmys, and some of the most culturally significant performances of the 21st century, these 6 actors represent all of this, and every single one of them had to engineer their own escape from an industry system designed to limit them. The business mechanics of typecasting are clear. The economic case against it is proven, and the question is whether the industry will self-correct or whether every generation of black actors will have to build their own production companies just to play roles that let them use their full range. If this breakdown hit the spot, the video on your screen takes it even further. Go watch it right now.